Another session of the founder interview series here at Indian Startup Community. Today I have with me Mr. Akshat Malhotra, a serial entrepreneur with a bounty of experience. He is a 2014 graduate from the JP Institute of Technology with a bachelor's in IT. During his time there, he has founded not one, but two startups called Orange Tree Solutions and Moonlight Deliveries, both of which he has exited successfully. He has over 5 years of experience under his belt working at Accenture as a business analyst, working on projects based in India, the US, and Mexico. And he has accumulated a truly varied set of skills. He finally came back here to pick up on his present venture, Pennywise. Built with the vision to spread financial education and freedom, Pennywise is an app that aims to inculcate the simplest savings habit of our parents' generation, saving the spare changes we found in a piggy bank. So Pennywise focus on bringing this into the digital e-payment era. Let us hear about it from the founder himself. Welcome to the show, Akshat. Thank you for taking some time to be with us. Can
Thank
you tell us what Pennywise is and what motivated you into taking this entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. Thank you so much, Radu, first of all, for having me here. It's a privilege. Um, Pennywise has been one of my latest uh, self realizations about the problems that I faced as a youngster, the problem that I faced of not knowing anything about financial education. Right. So, as you know, financial education, savings, investments, a topic that is not really talked about as a subject in our schools and colleges, and for that matter, not even discussed at our homes. Right. We don't really talk
Yeah.
about money. But then somehow back a couple of years back, I was looking for options of savings and investments, and across, when I went through various YouTube videos and other material out there, I realized that there are these simple concepts like compounding, which we don't really realize. We learn about the compound interest formula back in class 7th or 8th, but we don't really realize the practical application of it, right? And not me, but the biggest of the investors of all time, whether it's Warren Buffett, whether it's Albert Einstein, or the biggest of the gurus, have termed this to be the eighth wonder of the world. It works in such a way that if you just give it the time, if you just give it the patience, it's going to create wonders for you. It's going to create wealth in the best possible way.
Yeah, Warren Buffett. Yeah, I remember reading that about.
Right. So he says that I'll try quoting him, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to speak the right words. But he says that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. So what he basically means is, if you understand it well in time, you'll be able to make money work for you. Otherwise, you'll just be paying off liabilities and making the financial institutions rich. So learning about compounding, during the last couple of years was something which was a turning point for me, and I found out that this is a concept. So all of us eventually, the purpose, one of the byproducts in life is, we want to earn money, we want to grow rich, and we've always been, working hard towards getting the right job, getting the right college, then the job, getting high paid salaries, etc., etc. And what we don't realize in this journey is the simplest way of managing our personal finances or accumulating wealth is by starting investing early in life, so that we can actually accumulate a good wealth over the long period of time. So having said that, all these concepts started making sense to me. I found out that compounding is such a I would say such the awareness around compounding is not widely spread, and that's why we wanted to talk about that. We wanted to make people aware ki, how can they reach financial freedom before they actually turn their retirement age, so that they can actually spend a couple of years in life. Because traditionally, if yeah, right, the culture in the country is as if we tend to work as much as we can, right? So 60, 65, 70 years as well, because people don't really want to get retired because of the monetary benefits and the other benefits they get from their employer. And what we don't realize is, in this journey, we can actually, if we plan our finances well, we can retire early and work on something which is our passion.
Yeah, it would be very important that we start very early, because I don't think that is something that's even covered in our schools. It's not even something we see in our household day to day. So how does Pennywise enter this market? How does Pennywise impact that?
Very, very, very excited to share the story of Pennywise with you. So, as I said, this was the problem that I personally faced. Right, financial education, no idea How do I start saving and investing my money? No idea. So what we found out was, if we start investing, so there's this comparison which you can find over the internet, but I'll quickly explain that. So you start at 18 versus you start at 26, right? And you you start investing the same amount. The amount of wealth you can accumulate at the end of 60 years is going to be almost 3x the difference, right? So let's say if you start at 26 and you're able to accumulate a total of 1 crore, the same amount of principal, if you would have started investing at the age of 18, that amount would have been 3 crores or even more.
By the
Right?
time you're 60, yeah.
By the time you're 60. So just the difference of those 8 years makes such a huge difference. Now, having said that, I understand that, when you're 18, 19, 20, you don't really want to get into all of these things. And it doesn't really make sense when somebody tells you go and save and invest 500
thinking about it
every month and so on and so forth, that the kids just tend to run away. And I actually placed myself in that situation. If at that time somebody would have come up and told me that, Akshat, start investing 1,000, would have I really done that? I would have actually just ran away from there, right? So with joining all of these dots, what we found was at that time it's tough for any kind of student to start investing 500,000, such big amounts. But that 1 to 5 rupees, the same traditional piggy bank concept, which, when we used to spend in cash, get the change back, put it at our piggy banks in our homes, that same concept can actually be brought digitally to help people start with micro investing, right? So that's the term, that's the micro investing term that we're working towards. So in plain simple words, you're taking the traditional Gullak in the e-form, but not limited to that. So anytime you make a purchase, let's say you've just bought some groceries worth 474 rupees, and you pay through any of your existing e-modes, credit card, debit card, net banking, any of the existing modes. So what the app does, what the Pennywise app does, is it will detect the transaction of your 474 rupees, round off the transaction to the nearest nearest multiple that you've chosen, nearest 10 or nearest 100. So let's say if it's nearest 10, 474, nearest 10 is 480. So the 6 rupees balance, it gets debited from your bank account and gets invested directly into a financial avenue of your choice. Right? So every time you're spending, you're actually investing. So the purpose is to help people inculcate this habit of investing from as young as possible, so that they can enjoy the power of compounding in future.
That's actually a really interesting concept, because I don't think any of us thinks of spare changes or carrying coins in our pocket anymore. But in today's world, with apps and ideas just blooming out like mushrooms after rain, there's always bound to be at least one other startup that would be similar. So what is it that sets Pennywise apart from its competition?
Sure. So what we're doing at Pennywise right now is we have two offerings that we've taken out. One is the Pennywise School of Personal Finance, and the other is the Pennywise Micro Investing app, right? So what we're aiming at is, we want to spread education, we want to spread awareness, we want to spread financial literacy on your personal finance, and we want you to be aware of the decisions that you make, right? We don't want people to get into the traditional with the traditional agents or the advisors, and later on realize that they didn't take the right decision 10 years back. So just for reference, right, this is an industry where you make a purchase today, but you'll get to know if that purchase was right or wrong 10 years later. Okay. Right? It's not that you buy let's say a mobile phone today and tomorrow that it's not working fine, so you can go and replace it. That doesn't happen with your investments, right? You buy a financial product or you buy an insurance, and just 10 years later you get to know whether
everything is under long-term impact.
Correct. So instead of actually waiting for those 10 years and then regretting your decision, why not be financially aware at the time when you're buying that particular product, that financial product, and take that decision wisely. So the main aim of Pennywise is to spread financial education. And through that, we've started doing some courses and courses in the form of live conferences, where we just ask people to join in and learn, right? We just give we just share the education and the right tools and formats for people to take the right financial decisions.
Okay.
That's the main aim of Pennywise. Now, yes, we have the Pennywise app along with it. So for people who think that investing their spare change is something they'd like to do, they can use the Pennywise app. Otherwise, what we tell often to all our users and all our people is, whether you invested through Pennywise or not, just invest, right? We don't want you to come to Pennywise and invest your money. All we want you to do is invest your money from any platform out there.
That's actually great, because not a lot of apps or startups out there have a clear vision or what they want to do in this world, and it's great that Pennywise has come out with the first clear vision that everybody should have financial literacy in our country, and how that can help create wealth in the country and help it stay together. So that's actually a really awesome way to go. So I see that Pennywise has started almost 8 months ago. So did you have any outside funding, or did you bootstrap it?
Oh no! So far we've just bootstrapped everything. So in the past 6 to 8 months, what we first did with the first initial few months, we spent on surveying and actually understanding the market. And I'll actually tell you, this is something which I have learned as an entrepreneur on my journey. When I started back 8-10 months, I wasn't very clear whether funding is the right way to go. Should we raise external funds and so on and so forth. And then at that time when we started, Pennywise app was the only idea we had, right? We just had this idea that this is going to be this app which will help people invest. And, in return, we might just charge a little fee from the user, or maybe we get some commission from the financial institution. That was just the thought. That was the high level process. And then we started understanding from people whether they like the idea. Is the idea just resonating in my mind, or does it resonate with others as well? And we surveyed about 550, 600 odd people. And we got great responses, right? People loved the idea. They said that they'll be willing to start their journey of investing, because there's so much of gray area out there that for somebody to start, that trust factor is always there, right? So the first initial few months, all we built was our trust. We wanted to let people we wanted people to understand that Pennywise is a company, is a new startup that is just helping you be aware about financial education.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right? So you've got to let people know that this is what we stand for, and your money is safe with us, even though it's
correct.
You into the field.
Correct. And so during this journey, what we figured out was Pennywise app will, we also have to think from the business standpoint whether we'll be able to sustain the company or not. And that's when we found out that Pennywise app would actually take time for us to generate enough revenue for us to have a sustainable business. So why don't we actually try complementing it with some other services? And that's when we launched the Pennywise School of Personal Finance, where we started doing conferences just like this over a Zoom call or over WebEx call, explaining people, taking all the questions that anyone has and helping them take the right decisions, right? Okay. And that started giving us some revenue to earn from there and pump into the app development, right? So I think that was a great learning, which I learned that, in the beginning, so as much as an entrepreneur can bootstrap for the maximum point of time, they should do that. They shouldn't really look for an external funding in the initial months, because in the initial months you yourself finding out and experimenting a lot of things, right? You're still creating your vision. You're still looking at what do you really want to achieve out of the business, and having external funding at this point of time would just put up a lot of stress on your functioning, on your operations and things of that sort. Mm-hmm. So I think not picking up funding at this point of time just helps us think freely.
Okay, yeah, I get that. So starting a company, I know it's just hard to begin with. And as you mentioned, now you had to go through that additional hurdle of building trust in your customer and build your brand. So what are some of the other major challenges you have faced while building your startup?
So definitely, you covered a couple of points, and I think one there was this very interesting story where we needed to apply for a license. So what happened was we registered our company. We had applied for a PAN card, but because of the COVID, all the government offices were shut. Right. So what happened was we had to wait for a couple of months to actually get our PAN card. Okay. And in the meanwhile, we had to apply a license from SEBI. That we can be investment advisors. We can help people. For us to list all the financial avenues and the mutual funds on the app, we needed this license, and to get that license, we needed the PAN card. So we had to wait for about 2.5, 3 months to get the PAN card, and then get that a license from SEBI. Now, the fees of that license was 15,000 rupees, and we've got to show a net worth of 1 lakh rupees of the company. Okay. Just when we got our PAN card, 3 or 4 days before that, there was a new rule from SEBI that had implicated this license fee to go up from 15,000 to 5 lakh rupees, and the net worth of the company was to be shown as 50 lakh rupees.
Okay.
Right? So that was something which was like a huge setback for us. From 1 lakh to 50 lakhs, that was something which seemed impossible to do at that point of time. And we had to rethink on each and every aspect of our idea, each and every aspect of our business. And I think that was one of the challenges that we faced early on in our journey. Um, but then by God's grace, we and by reaching out to a lot of people, getting feedbacks, getting some inputs from the industry experts, what we figured out, there was a better way of going about things. We could have we then went to a different direction of the licenses. We didn't end up paying that particular amount, but then we headed the company towards a different business model altogether. But I think that was a great journey, because that was a great learning, because it helped us understand how adaptable we need to be with the changing market scenarios. So anything can happen anytime. Demonetization happened in a day. Licenses change in a day. So you, as an entrepreneur, as a company, as a startup, you've got to be ready to reroute all your business models.
Yeah, no, because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and follow a lot of startups until they succeed. And this was one of the technical issues, was one of the challenges that you faced. And I've seen that the eventual success of most startups just boils down to three things: the product, the marketing, and the strength of the core team behind it. So on the Pennywise LinkedIn, I could see that you've banded together an enthusiastic team of social media marketing interns. They were just showering ideas, and they were coming out with advice and praise on the advice and mentorship they got from you. So even being an early stage startup, I think I'm right in assuming that you have a marketing plan and a team in place. But in your experience, how important do you think it is for a young startup to invest their money and resources on advertising and marketing while they're still stretched thin just to build their product?
So in plain simple terms, right, marketing is explaining the need of the product, right? So before you go to sell your product, before you do the sales, you do the marketing that helps you explain the need of your product. Now, a lot of times there are products which really don't need any explanation, right? They're solving a particular need, they're solving a particular challenge, and people are just out there buying it. But if you're a product, for example, if we are a product where we see the first challenge is people ask, why should I invest, right? Because the basic financial education is a problem. And to explain that, what we thought is, instead of actually selling our product directly, we've got to tell people about the importance of investing, about the importance of personal finance. And once we do that successfully, post that, if the people like what we're doing, they will easily buy our product, right? At that time, we won't have to actually go and sell. So that was the intent from day one, that again, as I said previously, spread education, spread literacy, and people will come back. And to do that, as a startup, we didn't have a lot of funds. So the best way we thought was, if we get a couple of people who actually can join us in the vision, who believe the same in the same vision as we do, and at the same time they want to learn in a challenging environment, they want to learn in the startup world, because we didn't have enough money to give, we didn't have stipends to huge stipends to shell out. Right. But I think even that gave us a huge learning, because getting interns or getting your first set of employees, or getting a first set of people who are actually not motivated by money, but rather the vision.
Okay.
That is a game changer in a startup, right? Because if you have your first set of people whom you're going to build that company for the next 5-10 years, because even the first set of people who are joining you have to think like a founder. They can't think like employees. So they all have to think like a founder. And if they are inclined towards the vision, if they think that this can make big in future, or we can actually at least achieve the mission that we've decided for ourselves, that's a game changer, right? So for any of the interns that we hired, the first person in the team, I'll just quickly tell up that story. We put up this post. So we knew a friend who's an influencer, and we asked them to just publish our survey. The lady saw the survey, and then she just directly reached out to us saying that I want to join Pennywise. And I said, most welcome. We'd love to have you in the team, but unfortunately, we don't have any money right now, so we won't be able to pay you anything. But having said that, as a founder, what I can promise is, if we grow, if we grow as a company, we'll all grow together, right? It's not that we want to earn money is the intention. If we grow together. And from that, we got the first person, then the second person, third person, and then, today we're a team of about 15, 17 people with social media interns joining us for, months in between. We keep running those batches. So I think doing this, so you're coming back directly to your question, having a marketing plan is important. If you know that, you still need to make people aware of the need of the particular product. And if you can actually do that through people, that's the best way, right? I wouldn't recommend startups spending a lot of money on running advertisement campaigns and things like that. What I would prefer is, if you can actually build a team of, if you could build an army of people who are actually inclined towards what you're doing, who are passionate, they will help you spread the word. And then that's the best marketing you can actually do.
Yeah, that actually makes sense, because most of the startups that you see, as they start off, they spend all of their money developing the product, being like, okay, let me have the first best product out there, and then I'll think about marketing. But the idea that you just shared, I mean, bringing together who are very passionate about your product, as hard as it would seem, I think that would go best in the long run. And they would be, and once you get there, you would have a team of people who are very strongly supportive of your vision and your product. But most of the time, so if you look at startups in Silicon Valley and you look at some of the major businesses that have been funded, you see they spend a lot into bringing their team together, building core values into their team. They organize corporate get-togethers, they organize team meetings, getaways, so on and so forth, even while they're a startup. But as a startup that's bootstrapping, what did you do at Pennywise that works towards developing a strong team that works together?
So I think what we did was, we had this approach from day one that we're going to build a culture where people enjoy working, right? The focus was not just to build a user-friendly company, but an employee-friendly company where people actually enjoy every day of their lives. I have worked in the corporate for the last 5-6 years, and there have been days when I've enjoyed my work, but then there have been days when I've gotten up in the morning and I've just not felt going to work, right? So that we didn't want to do with Pennywise. Anyone who joins us, even if it's a limited team, we want them to be ready. We want them to be willing enough. There has to be this message, this strong urge from inside that I want to go work and make a difference. Yeah. So in order to do that, what we did was from day one, the first interview that we did for our team, we never got the person's resume at first. We didn't ask for the resume. Okay. We have this questionnaire of 20 questions, learned it from one of the entrepreneurs out there, and it asks questions in general about what are the three most exciting things you've done in life, or what are the three places that you want to visit in life, or a question like if you had to lose one of your 5 senses, which one would that be? Right? Okay. And all these kind of fun questions. The benefit of having this culture first approach was, even before you're interviewing that person, you get to know that person so much through the answers in those 20 questions. It helps you understand about that person so much, right?
There's personal touch there.
Correct. So before you're actually going into an interview with that person, you already feel that I know this person, and then that conversation just happens on the next level, right? You're able to relate so much to that person. You're able to be on the same bandwidth of that, just like that other person, and then that interview happens well, because I personally feel that skill set is something which any one of us can develop. If we want to develop, we can develop that. But it's the attitude and the passion that cannot be developed, right? Today, I want to pick up, let's say, Java coding. I can take up a class. I can go into an institute, spend the next a couple of months and learn Java. But that attitude and determination is, that no institute can teach us.
Yeah. No, so that's actually really good advice, because for all the startups out there, because they're starting small, they can give that kind of individual attention to who they're hiring.
Absolutely.
Compared to any corporate who might make this one of their side projects where you'll have an HR. How much would you take? Okay, how long can you spend in a week? Here's your money. Here's your job. Why don't you do that?
Absolutely.
So that's actually a really brilliant takeaway, I think, for our viewers here. But so you've had experiences of building over 3 startups, right? So you mentioned how you started all of them at such a young age. I believe you just turned 27 yesterday. Happy birthday. Yeah.
I turned 29 yesterday.
You turned 29 yesterday, still young for having started three
I
startups.
don't feel good about it. Just kidding.
So, from your experience of building Orange Tree Solutions, Midnight Deliveries, and Pennywise, what are some of those general milestones that young entrepreneurs can look out for, and some of the challenges they can expect in the first 6 months?
Sure. So I think I'll just take a step back and I'll just explain a little about the first two startups. We had some good products out there. We were doing well. We had a 6 months to 1 year of run there. But there were a couple of things that I really learned out of that experience, and that was that for a founder or for the initial team, uh, becoming an entrepreneur yourself is a very valid point. Is a very important point. Right now, what happens is out of the amazing newses and the glorifying stories of millions of startups that we see out here today, just 2% of those startups actually make it to the next level. That's the Indian number, right? So 11% of the startups survive, and 2% of the startups are actually able to earn profits.
Hmm.
Now, having said that, that 2%, so let's say if 100 people are trying, it means only 2 people get to the top. It's a tough journey, right? It's a very tough journey. And to have that journey, you've got to be really determined. You've got to be really focused. You've got to make sure that, no matter what happens, I am going to achieve that. And to do that, you have to be prepared yourself to ride that journey. You've got to be mentally prepared. You've got to be physically prepared. You've got to be financially prepared, because it could be that, you're not taking out, as a founder, you're not taking out a salary, or you're not taking out any money from the company's account for the next few years. And
Yeah.
I realized during those first two journeys that that was not me at that time. For me at that time, startup meant you start a business, buy a Mercedes on the next day, and things like that, right? So it was a quick, getting quick rich scheme kind of a thing for me, and back in those days. And that was predominantly the reason why I feel that we couldn't make too big with those with the first two initiatives.
Hmm.
Then over the next 6 years, 5 years, I learned tremendously. Had got the privilege to interact with people in India, across foreign nations as well. And I think each and every experience that I learned from there was something that kept on adding into my personality development, right? So you could say the next 6 odd years, but I actually spent it on developing myself as an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And then finally, when I thought that now I'm ready to once again take up the startup journey, once again I'm able, I can sustain myself for the next couple of years. That's when I decided that, okay, let's start with Pennywise.
Hmm. So your advice would be that you do not have to rush into that entrepreneur mind, getting your first funding or getting your first payment out of your startup, but in fact developing your personal self until you yourself can be the entrepreneur that can lead the company to success.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as they say, the three fundamental things of starting of so today, when you analyze a company on the stock market, you see of three things: the right promoters, which means the right set of owners of the company's product, how well that the company is performing, and then comes in the other aspects of the monetary business and how much profits and other things. So the first two out of these are the most important things, which I feel, right. And I've always said this: it takes time to build products. So you take the example of Zomato, you take the example of Zerodha. These are companies that have not been built in a day or two. Nitin Kamath has built Zerodha over the last 15, 20 years, because the first 10 years, as he says, he himself was as a trader. He was trying to learn the tricks and trades
Yes.
of doing that business, and then he spent the next 10 years building that company. So it takes time. Building a company would take time. You have to have that long term vision. Zomato, for example, their first product, if you remember, was just a snapshot, a physical snapshot of the menu card, and listed on their website. That's it. They were not into food delivery business. They were not into reviews. They were not into checking any of the images, etc. But all they were doing is just helping people look at the menu before going to the restaurant.
Yes.
And so it what it means, what it simply shows us, that it took Zomato time to reach this place where they are today, right from the initial days where they were just circulating. It took them time to actually build their product, come up with their offering, and so on and so forth. So the advice would be, it is a journey that you've got to take. It's going to take you time. You've got to be patient. You've got to be persistent. Nothing happens quickly. There's no overnight success. It's going to take you time. So give yourself that time.
So you've had a very interesting journey where you had two startups in the beginning, then you went to a job, and then you came back to start another company. So that's actually quite an unusual path that most people take. And so I was wondering if you have had any mentors during this journey. Like, did you have anybody who helped you get into your financial knowledge, or did you teach yourself that, or did you meet somebody during a networking event? Uh, how was your process there in working through this
Oh
personal?
yes, I think mentors is something that we all need, right? We all need mentors. Uh, in general, so even if you're not starting up, even if you're just working anywhere, even if you're, in whichever field of life, with whatever purpose you're solving of life, you need a mentor, right? Because the mentor helps you always be on track. So I've had great mentors. One of my the mentor who I've learned tremendously is Mr. Vishnu Dusad. He's the MD of Nucleus Software, and I think what he's always, so I used to go up with tons of ideas to him, right? I used to say, uncle ye karte hain, sir ye karte hain, ye karte hain. And every time he would never tell me that, whether this idea is right or wrong, or can this idea make big. What he would do is he would ask me questions. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? And then he would give me 10 listings for me to actually go and rethink on that idea, whether did that idea actually make sense, or was I just too excited to share that. So that's something that I learned, and I think he told me this. So as you said, I was in a startup, then moved to a job, then came back to startup. So I what I found out was, what he told me, that treat the initial first years of your life as a paid learning, right?
Okay.
Because you're getting money from Accenture and you're learning, so it's actually your paid learning. So that's why I think that was a great way to for me to understand that, I'm going to learn over the next few years and I'm going to get paid for that. And apart from that, what I'd say is network as much as you can, meet as many people as you can over various platforms. Startup India network, Indian startups is a great network. I attended your first CEO meet, and I met a great number of people there. In fact, I'd like to share that one of the persons actually reached out to me over your WhatsApp group and told us about that there is some company by the name of Pennywise in Hyderabad. So do you guys have your trademark and everything? And I
Okay.
told him that we don't have it yet, but we're going to apply soon. And then that person actually helped us apply for our trademark, right? So
Okay.
it was somebody whom I met on your network. And similarly, I would recommend the young entrepreneurs to start building their network as much as they can, right? There could be events that are paid, there could be events that are free, but I think you just need to take all of this as your investment in your startup, in your journey. um, and just network out people, meet as many people as you can, discuss, talk to as many people as you can, because you just get to see life through another person's perspective.
So I think that's how you validated your idea as well, right?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. So, if I may say, when as soon as we got the idea of Pennywise, what we found out was a very similar idea already exists in another app as a feature, right? And I was extremely disappointed that day. I thought, shit, this is also something that I've failed again. I can't make big with this idea, and so on and so forth. But the next thing what I did was I actually reached out to I tried reaching out to the founder of that particular organization over LinkedIn. And to my surprise, he was so available out there. He was so friendly. He gave me his number. He told me to call him the next day. And I did tell him, I used the words like conflict of interest and everything, that if you don't want to tell me, that's okay. And he was like, sab bakwas hota hai. Keep that aside. I'll actually tell you my journey. He taught me so many things. He gave me the actual insights of running that business, which I couldn't have got from anywhere else. And he taught me that. He actually gave me the resources as well, because for us to quickly create that product, creating as you can understand, creating a financial product, you've got to take care of a lot of licenses, a lot of other API connections from external parties. There's involvement of money, so you have to take care of security. And then he gave me the right resources. He actually helped me reach out to a couple of people who have helped us in this initial journey of Pennywise. So
I guess your takeaway was that you shouldn't sit down with your own idea. You should share it with as much people as possible to
absolutely,
validate it and get it out there. Understand,
absolutely,
understand what the market actually wants, and if there are people out there who've gone through the same journey.
because that will help you mature your idea. That will help you nurture your idea, and that's the best way to go about it, right? As much as you can share.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, that's really good advice. We would like to thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to our YouTube audience. I'm sure your story and your advice will be truly helpful to many of them watching here who are just starting out. I would like to wish you all the best for the launch of Pennywise. I hope it happens by the New Year's. As you know, I've already signed up for the early adopters list. And to everyone watching here, thank you for joining us. Please leave a comment below to arrange for any founders you would like for us to interview or any questions you might have for Akshat, and we will connect you with him. Have a good day, everybody.
For sure.
Thank you, Akshat.
Thank you so much, Ritu, once again for having me. It was great talking to you.